You see that corner over there behind the drill press? That's where the ghost of Christmas Future lived for about 3 weeks back in 2009. Turns out it wasn't a ghost, just a 30-gallon tank that decided it was finished with the whole holding water concept at 3 in the morning.
Is that why there's a faint water line on the drywall that looks like a map of the Mississippi? I always thought that was just shop character.
No, that was a genuine subterranean lake in the making. I woke up to a sound like a polite but very persistent waterfall. By the time I got down there, my boots were floating. It's one of those things you don't think about until you're barefoot in 2 inches of lukewarm basement soup, wondering where the shutoff valve went.
See, this is why I pay a landlord. But most of our listeners actually own their four walls, and the beast in the basement is apparently terrifying them. We've had a dozen emails this week asking if their water heater is a ticking time bomb.
It's not a bomb, but it is a silent, hardworking roommate that needs a little grease on the wheels once in a while. Most people treat a water heater like a loyal dog. They just expect it to be there when they get home. But if you don't feed it any attention, it's going to bite your wallet. Hard.
Okay, let's start with the basics for the folks who haven't spent 40 years under a sink. If I walk up to this big metal tube in my garage, what am I actually looking at? What are the need-to-know knobs before I accidentally flood my house?
First thing you got to find, and I mean find it today, not when the water's hitting your ankles, is that water shutoff. It's usually on the cold pipe coming into the top. If it's a round wheel, you spin it until it stops. If it's a lever, you turn it sideways so it looks like a T across the pipe. Think of it like a gate. When it's in line with the pipe, the water's racing through. When it's crossing the pipe, it's telling the water no passage.
Simple enough. What about the gas? Or the electricity? That's the part that makes me want to stay upstairs and just take cold showers forever.
It's not that spooky, I promise. If it's gas, you'll see a little dial near the bottom and a pipe with another lever. Same rule applies. Perpendicular means off. If it's electric, find your breaker box and look for the switch that says water heater. If it isn't labeled, well, you've got a fun afternoon of yelling, "Is it off yet?" to someone in the basement while you flip switches.
My husband and I did that for 2 hours once. We ended up turning off the neighbor's internet somehow. Don't ask.
Now, the real secret to making these things last longer than a trendy haircut is the sacrificial anode rod.
Sacrificial anode? That sounds like something from a low-budget sci-fi movie. Does it involve a ritual?
Kind of. It's a long rod of magnesium or aluminum that hangs down inside the tank. Its whole job, its sole purpose in life, is to be more delicious to corrosion than the steel walls of your tank. The minerals in the water attack the rod instead of the tank. It literally dies, so your heater can live.
So if the rod is gone, the water starts eating the tank itself?
Exactly. It's like a lightning rod for rust. If you check it every few years and replace it when it looks like an old, chewed-up pencil, your tank could last 20 years. If you ignore it, the tank rusts through, and you're back to my 2009 basement lake scenario.
How do I know if it's chewed up without pulling the whole thing apart? Is there a check engine light?
I wish. No, you've got to unscrew the big hex head on top of the tank. You'll need a big socket wrench and maybe a bit of muscle. If you pull it out and it looks like a wire hanger with a few barnacles on it, it's done. If it's still thick and gray, you're golden. Just make sure you turn the water off before you unscrew it, or you're going to get a very hot, high-pressure surprise in the face.
Okay, so we've got the bodyguard rod. What's next on the maintenance checklist? I keep hearing about flushing the tank. Is that just code for making a mess in the driveway?
It's more like cleaning the grit out of your coffee pot. Over time, minerals, mostly lime and calcium, settle at the bottom. It turns into this crunchy, sandy slush. In an electric heater, it covers the heating elements like a blanket, making them work twice as hard. In a gas heater, it sits on the bottom and acts like a layer of insulation, so the flame has to burn longer to heat the water through the sludge.
So it's basically an inefficiency blanket sitting at the bottom of my heater.
Spot on. And it makes this awful popping or rumbling sound. If your water heater sounds like it's making popcorn, that's actually steam bubbles trying to escape from underneath that layer of sediment.
I thought my heater was just haunted. It definitely makes that rumble pop sound in the mornings. How do I get the popcorn out?
You hook a garden hose to the drain valve at the bottom, run the other end of the hose to a floor drain or outside. Open the valve and let it flow. You might see some milky, chunky stuff coming out at first. That's the junk you don't want.
Wait, do I leave the water on while I do this?
I like to leave the cold water on for a minute at the start to stir up the silt, kind of like a power wash for the inside. Then I shut the water off, open a hot water faucet somewhere in the house to let air in, and let the whole thing drain empty. Then I blast it a couple more times by flicking the cold water valve on and off. It's satisfying in a weird way, seeing all that grit leave your house.
It sounds like a lot of steps, Tiger. Is it really worth the Saturday morning sacrifice?
Think of it this way. A new heater is going to run you anywhere from $800 to $2,000 depending on the model, and if you're paying a pro to swap it, a garden hose is free if you already have one, and a new anode rod is $30. It's the difference between a quick tune-up and a total engine replacement. Now, we need to talk about the safety valve. See this little lever on the side? That's the T&P valve. If your thermostat fails and the heater decides to try and turn your basement into a steam sauna, this valve opens up to keep the tank from splitting wide open.
I've seen those. They usually have a pipe that just ends near the floor. I always wondered why that was there.
It's a get-out-of-jail-free card for pressure. You should test it once a year. Just lift the lever briefly. Water should discharge out of that pipe. If it doesn't, or if it keeps dripping after you close it, the valve is shot. And a stuck valve is how you end up with a water heater through your roof. Seriously, go look up those videos. It's impressive, but not something you want to see happen to your own shingles.
Okay, skip the water heater rocket experiment. Got it. What about the temperature? My neighbor turned his up to scald because he likes his showers to feel like he's being reborn in a volcano. Is that bad?
Besides the third-degree burns, yeah, it's not great for the tank. Most manufacturers recommend 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It's hot enough to kill bacteria like Legionella, but not so hot that it speeds up the mineral buildup. Every degree you go over 120 accelerates that corrosion we talked about. Plus, your energy bill will look like a phone number.
So 120 is the sweet spot.
Exactly, it's the Goldilocks zone. Not too cold to grow bugs, not too hot to eat your pipes.
Okay, Tiger, let's be real. Sometimes maintenance isn't enough. How do I know when I'm just putting a bandage on a broken leg? When is it time to stop flushing and start shopping?
That's the hard truth. If you see a puddle under the tank and it's not coming from a fitting or a valve, meaning the actual belly of the beast is weeping, it's over. You can't weld a water heater tank. Once the glass lining inside cracks and the steel starts to pinhole, you're just waiting for the dam to break.
So, weeping is the death rattle of a water heater.
Pretty much. Also, if you're getting rusty colored water, only when the hot side is running, or if the unit is more than 12 years old and starts acting up, you're on borrowed time. I usually tell folks, if the heater is old enough to have a middle school graduation, you might want to start looking at the sales flyers.
If I am shopping, what am I looking for? The world has changed since the last time I looked at a big bucket of hot water.
It really has. You've got the traditional tanks, which are better insulated than they used to be. Then you've got tankless or on-demand heaters. Those are like the sports cars of the plumbing world. They're tiny, they mount on the wall, and they only heat water when you turn the tap on.
Unlimited hot showers? That sounds like the dream. What's the catch? There's always a catch with you.
Well, they're expensive to install. They need bigger gas lines or a lot of electrical juice. And in a shop like this, if I've got the welder going and the heater kicks on, I might just pop every breaker in the county. But if you have a big family and everyone takes showers back to back, they're a godsend.
And what about those heat pump ones? I keep seeing them at the big box stores. They look like they have a little air conditioner sitting on top of them.
They basically do. They pull heat out of the air and shove it into the water. They're incredibly efficient, like pennies a day to run. The downside is they make the room they're in colder, which is great in Georgia in July, but maybe not so fun in Maine in January.
It sounds like regardless of what you choose, the happily ever after depends on whether you're willing to go down there once a year and actually look at the thing.
That's the long and short of it. We spend so much time worrying about the pretty things, the paint on the walls, or the new backsplash, but the heart of the house is often the thing tucked away in the shadows.
So the takeaway for today is, find your valves, check your bodyguard rod, and don't ignore the popcorn sounds in the basement.
You got it. And if you do decide to flush it yourself, just remember, that water's hot. Don't go doing it in flip-flops. I've got a scar on my left big toe from 1994 that still reminds me of that lesson every time it rains.
Noted. No basement soup for me.
Good call. Maintenance isn't about being a master plumber. It's just about being a good neighbor to your own house. Treat that heater right, and it'll keep you in warm showers for a decade. Neglect it and, well, hope you like swimming in your basement.
Thanks for the warm advice, Tiger. Next time, can we talk about something that doesn't involve a potential flood?
No promises. I've got a story about a pressure washer and a patio umbrella that'll make your hair stand on end.
Can't wait for that one. See you next time in the Tiger Den.